Are we ready? Yes. All right. We will call this meeting to order. Robert is not in attendance. Kim is virtual, and everyone else is in attendance, and Jason will not be present tonight, I believe, correct? Thank you. Pledge of allegiance. Everyone can stand, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mission statement: the Viroqua Area School District provides a quality education for all students that inspires continuous learning, positive relationships, curiosity, and compassion, and an environment that welcomes diversity while developing respectful and responsible citizens. Committee reports. Matt?
We had a very informative budget and finance committee meeting, and Mike did explain some good things to us in terms of the state, that we have received some numbers that actually allow us to do some budgeting, but there are still some things that we're waiting for. On Thursday, right, June 15th, the K-12 budget bill was approved by the Senate and the Assembly with bipartisan support there. So is it at the governor's desk right now, right?
That's my
Waiting for
understanding.
signature. Some highlights as of today. So revenue limit per pupil adjustment after 2 years of no increase in the per pupil revenue limit adjustment. The adjustment is going up to $325 per student fiscal year 24 and $325 fiscal year 25. It will provide school districts with an increased funds and spend on education. Low revenue ceiling increased from 10,000 to 11,000, which we are below that 11,000. So we get the 325 plus the difference to get us up to the 11,000 per pupil. So that is a glimmer of good news. And I think where we needed to be was about that level. So so it'd always be nice to have a little bit more, but getting what we get. General equalization aid, 154.7 million in fiscal year 24, 379.6 million in fiscal year 25 in additional aid. Special education aid is going up from 31.5% in 23. It's going up to 33.3 in 24 and 25, which we were hoping for 66%. So not where we want to be from that standpoint. High cost special education aid increased by 4.6 million over the biennium and raised our reimbursement rate to 45% in fiscal year 24 and 50% in fiscal year 25. High cost transportation aid, that increased by 5.88 million over the biennium, 2.94 million annually, and to raise the reimbursement to 75% and eliminate the 200,000 cap on stopgap payments and districts that lose eligibility for aid. So Viroqua received 195,000 of high cost transportation aid in 22 and 23. Pupil transportation aid increased the reimbursement rate for pupils transported 12 plus miles from $375 per pupil to $400 per pupil. And voucher per pupil amount, the voucher per student increases are $1,100 for students grades K through 8 and $2,955 for students in 9 through 12. So it results in aid payments to the voucher schools of $9,500 in K-8 and $12,000 for 9 through 12. Using last year's enrollment information, that would increase the local cost of the voucher schools an additional $75,000. Anything else?
It's still in the works.
Yep. All right.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Matt or no? Mike, thank you. The next item is the welcome visitors. Do we have any public comment?
I'm gonna say no.
I would say no. All right, with that, we will move on to the consent agenda. And with that, we have approval of the agenda, proof of public notice, the May meeting minutes, voucher summary 1 in the amount of $435,855.90. We have retirements and resignations. Aaron Kane, VAMS E1 teacher, Ann Hartberg, VAMS E1 teacher, Megan Phelps, high school, middle school choir teacher. Appointments, we have VAMS E1 teacher, Tressa Clentz, VAMS E1 teacher, Amy Stockert, and the 23-24 student at risk plan.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I do have just a question about the student at risk plan. When I was reading through it, and I have a feeling that this has something to do perhaps with COVID and perhaps students not being present, but it seemed to me that the numbers 9 through 11 were perhaps a little bit higher from my memory, but and when I look at those numbers, it makes me think that during that time period, perhaps some of these students fell a bit behind. Am I correct?
And it's maybe 5 students or 4 or 5 students. It's not hugely
Sure.
significant.
Right.
One thing that is very notable was only 1 at the middle school,
Yes.
which was hoo-hoo.
Yes. That was fantastic.
which was fantastic. So we are seeing significant mental health issues kind of at the high school with attendance, and that's affecting them. So coming back through from COVID, I would have to agree that that's some of that.
Mhm.
With our added, we are working really hard with our student services team, our school success, our school social worker, and all of our student services team meeting monthly to discuss these students and really get them through. So we're very lucky that we have the supports that we do, but yeah, it did seem it was a bit elevated at the high school level. But
Well, when
2 years ago, there were like 42 at the middle school, which is still significantly less. Those students would be high school students now. So
There's been a lot of recovery.
yes, and the recovery is still going on.
And also the resources that are in the document are pretty great too. I mean, all of the resources that we're providing. So I was really happy to see that.
Yep.
So, does anyone else have any questions? So with that, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Kim, can you?
Aye.
All right, opposed? Motion carries. I don't want to leave you out. And I also want to say Steve's not here either. I thought he was, but he is not. So I apologize for that.
So before we move on, just making sure that we're thanking Aaron, Ann, and Megan for their time serving the district. Just a side note, Tressa and Amy bring a combined 29 years of Montessori experience to those 2 positions combined. And that's an incredible amount. So we're very, very excited to have them on board.
And we also wish Aaron, Ann, and Megan only good things moving forward.
Absolutely.
We hope
Yep.
that wherever their next journey takes them, that it's a very happy and successful path. The next motion is voucher summary 2.
I move to approve voucher summary 2 in the amount of $265,000. Oh, $265,033.84.
Is there a second?
A second.
Great. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? And I will abstain from that motion. The next item is, I would like to ask if you would like all of these items to be the charter renewals in one motion, or if you would like them separately.
I think they can all be together.
They're all together, is that okay, everyone? Okay. All right, so go ahead. We will need a motion then, including all of them together.
And which charters are they?
It's Montessori, Laurel High School, and Vernon County Better Futures.
I'll move to approve the Viroqua area Montessori School Charter Renewal, Laurel High School Charter Renewal, and the Vernon County Better Futures High School Charter Renewal.
Is there a second? Kim seconds. Any discussion? So when I was reading through them, one question that I have, I thought that there was going to be a data component. I mean, it talked about testing and expectations, but there wasn't
Yep,
something
there are
specific.
addendums. Yep, there are addendums that each will be working on or have already finalized. Yep, so some of them were included and some of them they're working on right now with the governance council.
Okay, that was a question that I had, what that
Yep,
actually
so
looks like.
when we talked with W. Chris, who was the organization at the state level that helped us with all three, they did that was the recommendation, was to separate them from the contract itself and put them in as addendums to the contract so that if they do change, you're not having to go back and renew the entire document. You're just renewing it, the addendum to that.
Okay. Any other questions? With that, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for that great work. I know that took a lot of time. All of the board members that were involved in that, all of the charters and their
It was a lot of work.
governance council's involvement, as well as legally, all of our administrators that were involved with it. It was a tremendous amount of work all at the same time. So we look forward to the next time they all come around.
5 years, it's gonna be, you're gonna be right now here doing that. So thank you to whoever did that.
It was our pleasure. All right. The next item then is the 2022-23 budget adjustments.
I move to approve the 22-23 budget adjustments.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, with that, Mike, would you like to present some of that information?
Yep, that's fine. As with every year about this time, sometimes a little earlier, sometimes in addition a little later, and we will this year too. We take a look at the accounts where we're over, where we're under, and with going into the second year of a biennium budget last year at this time, and really not having much certainty as to where some of the revenues were going to fall. We probably were a little more conservative than we probably have been in the past on some different revenues. And likewise, we also just didn't have some of the items formally budgeted for yet with the ESSER grants. And that's the majority of the revenue and expenditure changes from what was originally approved. We also, we're still working out that time what the grants were going to pay for and what we were going to have to pay for locally based on what would be allowed. Things that we didn't really have an idea on were, for instance, for the interest on the investments, the rates are significantly better and the general fund benefits from that. So we adjusted that. We did sell an extra bus. Basically, by reducing a route last year, we decided we could go down having a bus, and we sold that at a really good time. Area school districts weren't able to find buses at that time on any source, new, used, or otherwise. And we were able to benefit from that in that hot market. And so we sold that last November. And so we're going to show that adjustment. And then we also have the refund of disbursement, 29,500, which was focused on energy rebates that we were able to get by doing the projects, the boiler projects, both in the elementary school and at Big League Pool. Again, those are the revenues, the expenditures. We always have adjustments, but most of them were the larger ones related to the grant in both the general and the special education fund. We also are adjusting the budget to reflect what we didn't know last year when we approved the budget, which was whether or not the referendum was going to pass. So that, the total revenues, the bond proceeds from that, and then again, the expenditures we anticipate to have for architectural and everything yet this year are being reflected in that. That'll be difficult to budget for this coming year because the timing and everything we'll put numbers in there for next year's budget, but we won't have it all spent out. But it'll come from so we'll have adjustments for that in the future. And long-term debt also with bond issuance costs that we're having to pick up. That was both a revenue and expense, so no change. So yeah, if you want to call it housekeeping, it's housekeeping. Wish you didn't have to do them and you could be a little bit closer, but it is, especially this year.
Any questions? But what I would say is I feel very fortunate that we are where we are right now with the information and the budget that you have been keeping us abreast of. So thank you administratively, all of you, for that. The next item, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the 23-24 preliminary budget. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the 23-24 preliminary budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Would you like to present that next, please?
This too will not be the last one that you will approve prior to the annual meeting. I've been working on this for a while, and we as Matt explained, we went from last board meeting to thinking we would not have a biennium state budget before October to literally on the last day of school, after the day was done, getting the breaking news on our email that said they've come to an agreement and this thing is done. We didn't have the details at that point, but it moved very, very quickly. And within the week, it's now to the governor's desk. So I've been working on it. I was working on it last week. 4 o'clock Friday afternoon, Bear did send out their model update information. I felt, without having the ability to talk to Tom more about it, without actually analyzing if the model was properly calculating, to just stick with tonight where we're at. We were able to build in the revenue limit increases that Matt described earlier. The biggest variable is, and we still don't know for sure, how the additional money that they put into the state general aid formula will impact the Viroqua school district. And the more aid that they give us will drive down our property taxes. The less aid they give us, and what's going to determine that is our share of the general statewide pot of money. With the numbers that they gave me now, it's probably a little bit less than what I've calculated, but I also used less shared costs conservatively in my estimate of how I calculated where we were at. So I'm hoping the two almost wash out each other, but I would expect that number would be different come in July when I bring it back, and we'll analyze where that is. Otherwise, it's again, the ESSER funds budgeted to the extent that we know of right now, but we fully expect those will be fully expended by the end of the year. While we know where they're going to be, we don't know exactly which account that the state's going to have us record those in until we can give them a little bit more hard numbers on that. Our enrollment will impact our budget as it does every year. We've projected based on last year's attendance and losing the seniors and bringing in the pre-Kers to kindergarten. Where we're going to be, our enrollment is anticipated to go down, hopefully not that much. So please encourage people to sign their kids up, and kids, because that really does impact our budget. And you know, with all of this, it's great, as Matt said, it's great news from the state. We financially are still in a very strong position, but those 2 years of zero increases and us continuing to be aggressive with our budgeting process, you know, is going to limit the effect that these increases are. They're really capturing what, as they designed, by not giving us the increase because we had all that extra money to spend. You know, now that that's going away, this is almost kind of a wash for us. So it's still going to be a very difficult budget. Health insurance, I do have an increase included in here for that. What I would call a significant increase from what we've had in the last 5 years, 10 years. But you know, that we'll find out more about that as early as tomorrow. And there's probably some more decisions to be made on that. So our budget still has a ways to go to being finalized in October, but getting the state portion really moved things up for us, and we're happy for that. So again, it's a preliminary budget. It gives us kind of a snapshot where we think things are going to be. If you look down to the bottom, we are projecting a property tax increase, and I mean that's probably correct. I mean that, you know, we 3.53% increase, but again, that number could change based on a number of different things, including our debt service and including our where we're at with the revenue limits. So any questions?
Question that I have, so if you're saying, you know, we received the ESSER funding, we didn't receive anything from the state for 2 years, but then now
Any
we're
increase?
any
increase we
increase.
still
I'm
We did.
correct, I'm sorry, I didn't say that correctly. But now we're getting an increase from the state, and the ESSER funding isn't there any longer, and it's a wash, which means with inflation being 8%, we're really not receiving an inflationary
It's not a
increase.
1-for-1 increase for us. That is correct.
Okay,
We're not getting the benefit of the full $1,000
I just want people to understand that
In year one.
in year one.
in year one.
Yep. It's definitely the move in the right direction, and it was a huge investment
Mhm.
in public education in Wisconsin.
Yes.
I'm not going to discount that at all.
And depending on what inflation would be then next year, then it could be more beneficial.
Potentially,
Perhaps,
yep.
potentially.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
want everyone to,
There's
or
a
not,
lot.
or not, we'll find out later.
You know, and I don't think this is going to go away anytime soon, that budgets are difficult to balance. Like, I don't think that this was not that kind of a game changer, you know, of money, right? This is still going to be very difficult with the inflation that we've seen, with the market the way it is for employee salary and benefits. So we're trying to make sure that we're competitive and continuing to remain, you know, leaders in that group.
Any other questions?
I mean, the news going into those state meetings, you know, and where, you know, what's preliminary, what's come out of it. You know, I think people listened.
Yep.
So.
Mhm.
you know,
On
it's-
some level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there's always going to be compromise, right? And you're never going to get everything that you want or that you've asked for. And so there definitely was a compromise this year. Absolutely.
Thank you. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Opposed? Motion carries. Information and discussion is the next item. What was that?
My phone beeped.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were having a fire alarm, so I'm sorry. I got a little nervous there. Donations over $250. We would like to thank all of the generous supporters of our district. Vernon Women's Alliance, $625 for FBLA Nationals. There's various local organizations and individuals that also donated $625 to FBLA Nationals. Viroqua Track Club, $651 for a crossbar. Lauren Primer Memorial, $250 for Skills USA, and American Transmission Company, $387.50, Threes for Trees program. So we're very fortunate to have the support from our community in a million different ways. So thank you. The next item is the 22-23 school nurse report. Kathy?
So you'll see the nurses report in your packet. We work with Scenic Bluffs for our nursing services. In fact, in the last 2 weeks, I've been up there 3 times to do interviews for a nurse for next year. I think we're well on the way to that procedure. So we're excited about that. Scenic Bluffs has been a great partner with us for this service. This would be our first full year with Scenic Bluffs. So Katie Drury, the school nurse support person from Scenic Bluffs, oversees this, along with Deb Henthorn and Deb Deaver put this together this year. So you'll see nursing visits was up a little bit this year. Interesting note that one class in the elementary contributed to more than half of the total elementary visits. I don't know which class that is, so I can't even tell you. But they're going to be looking into that in the fall and seeing what the root cause for that is. But they're busy especially in the elementary office. It certainly goes to show how those nurses work very, very hard to keep our students in school with over-the-counter meds, doing blood sugar checks, doing some medications that students need every day. It's very, very important for us to have them. You will note that they saw a total of, this was a fun number as well. There were face-to-face student contacts this year, a total of 9,940 student contacts within our 3 buildings. The elementary gave out over 900 bags of ice because ice fixes everything, as Matt says. And so connected, some of those things
Half of
are
those liver culture boys. Anyway.
they are not named.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we lost 31 teeth at the elementary level.
They came out.
They came out of their mouth, they did not lose them.
And they probably didn't even lose most of them. They have them in their pockets.
Angie, is that going to be in the paper? Can you
Yes.
report that? Okay, got it.
Yeah.
No teeth in Viroqua.
Our hearing and vision, we screened 361 vision students and referred 45. Our hearing tests, 379 students and referred 10. We partner with Scenic Bluffs for our dental program, our sealants, and they had 95 students participate with that, and 31 were referred on. So it's a very interesting report to read. And in basic, I feel very, very fortunate that we have the healthcare that we do and our partnership with Scenic Bluffs. I would like to thank them. Any other questions? That was it in brief.
The one component I saw, asthma, the number of students with inhalers, and also, do we have inhalers that students can use if they're prescribed and they don't remember to bring it?
They have to bring their own.
They have to
They
bring
have to
their
bring
own.
their own.
Yeah.
But then
I
we
was
would call the-
curious.
We could call the parents.
Parents,
Yeah.
We had to.
But it seemed to me, and I don't have anything to refer from the past, the references if that's a higher number, but it sure seemed like perhaps it was.
Have we needed Narcan,
No,
or is it just because of the trend in?
it's because of the trend.
Okay,
We have not personally at this time.
sure. Hopefully we don't.
Yes.
And is that still part of the budget or did they pull that out?
Separate, it's separate. It still will be coming through, from what I'm hearing, yeah. So that'll be a requirement, but I do believe that they separated that one out.
Any other questions? No. Thank you very, very much, Kathy. And I feel fortunate that we have a full-time nurse. We didn't for many years, and I'm glad that we're back to that. Obviously, that need is there.
Yep, the full-time nurse and our nurses, our nursing health aide, also very important. So we have both of those offices staffed throughout the day. So that's very good.
The 22-23 seclusion and restraint report, you're back on. Don't get too comfortable there.
I have all the fun ones.
These are fun.
Seclusion and restraint, we're pretty proud. This year, there are only a total of 5. 3 of those, 1 at the elementary. Good job, Pat. 2 at the middle school. All three of those were pretty significant special ed students. We have all of our special ed staff is trained in CPI, which is the nonviolent crisis prevention. Thank you. And so we're legally must have 1 person trained at each building. We have 30 in district, and we have sometimes up to 40 people trained to do that. All of our administrators, the principals and I are all trained in CPI and those kinds of things as well. So I think and we have a trainer on staff. Brad Compton is our trainer on staff, and he will generally put in 2 trainings a year to work with our staffs to be trained in holds or de-escalation techniques. And those de-escalation techniques have obviously been good. We have 2 students that are currently off-site for various reasons. And so there were 2 restraints at the off-site Equally Connections. So those were the alternate placements as well. So there were only 3 on-site holds this year, which is significantly down. Again, it really depends on the population and how long, but it was a good year. So.
Any questions? Thank you, Kathy. The next item, Tom, the building project update and the strategic planning.
Sure. So we continue to go through phase 2 of our design, which is really getting into the very intricate details of our building planning stages now. We've seen a few 3D models, and it's been really an awesome process. We say this all the time, but truly partnering with Myron and HSR has been an absolute blessing, and we are very lucky and fortunate to be working with such a great group of people. They're listening to our needs and creating a budget-friendly solution for us. So as of right now, even with all of the pieces and how they do their budgeting, we are right on track within that 20.5 million to accomplish what we need to. We do have 2 or 3 major alternates that if we do end up coming in under, we can add and make sure that they're part of the project. But overall, all of those that were included in the base design plus the $3.5 million tech ed expansion will be in the plan as was intended. Sometimes you have to make some tough decisions with those things when budgets, inflation pieces come back, construction costs. But we intentionally budgeted high so that we would be right where we are today, which is on budget. So that's incredibly exciting. A lot of work and a lot of shout out to the entire tech ed department. This has been much more intense than what I think they thought was going to happen. But we are getting down to the details of this particular saw needs to be 6 inches this way, so you have enough clearance, and we have the right power source, and we have it's very intricate on what we have to do, and they have done an outstanding job at working with them and making sure this is the type of equipment we either have or we need, and here's where it needs to go within the greater scheme of that layout. Exciting. We are Mike and I are submitting. Right, Mike? We've been asked to, and we're gonna propose. So we're not been accepted yet as a presenters for both the school board convention in Milwaukee and the Warsaw convention in the Dells. We also will be potentially submitting for the national convention in San Diego, depending on how these kind of go. We would like to, we're partnering with Tim Rupert, who you guys have met before from HSR, and Megan Prestabach, who you've also met with from Myron Construction, to essentially put together a presentation titled Know When to Go, a community supported referendum solution. And so it's essentially detailing what we've done and why we got such a dramatic swing. And I don't know if we've ever talked about those numbers, but in 2018, the failed referendum only had 23.4% yes votes in this community. And 4 years later, we had over 57%. So a 34-point plus swing is pretty incredible by today's standards when we look at moving a community from one thing to another. And so with that, just essentially telling our story and making sure that people understand, why we made the decisions that we did. Which was truly, if we go back to the very beginning, it was we need to make sure we're trusting survey numbers. We're not trying to pretend like we know the community better than what our community is telling us, things like that. And so it's been, it was a great process, and one that we feel that we need to be telling others about. Because again, I do feel we see some districts that could use some of that support, or at least looking at our model, and so that they can say, all right, this may work in my district. And so we're really, really excited about that. Right, Mike?
Yep.
Really excited about that. But it's gonna be fun. And so we'll hear back within a couple weeks here on whether or not we'll be presenting there, and then we'll go from there. Any questions on that? So obviously, if we are able to present at the school board convention, I would encourage you guys to be there in that group, so that if there are any questions to board members, you're able to answer those, because it'll be an interactive type of presentation. So any other questions about the building project updates?
When are we going to see it?
When would you like to see it?
Now.
Okay. Well, we can't see it now, so I can't make that happen. But what we can do, would you like to see that in a buildings and grounds meeting, or would you like to see that as a full board, or maybe a little bit of both? Buildings and grounds going maybe a little bit more in depth?
You're the chair of buildings and grounds.
anymore.
Not anymore. I would
Um,
like, well, yeah, I'd like it in the full board.
Now you would. Now you would. I'm fine with bringing it to the full board.
I think that'd be
okay.
And this is something people.
Would you like that in the typical, in like maybe the July board meeting,
That would be
or
nice.
would you like it separated as a special board meeting?
I think doing it during the regular board meeting would be appropriate. It's
Okay.
recorded and it's.
We will see what the availability for HSR is. They're the primary right now that are going through the process. So I will check for the July board meeting.
And if they're not ready, all
Oh,
all
they-
kidding aside.
Yeah.
If it isn't complete by then obviously we'll wait.
Well, we don't have to make it a complete. This is going to be here's where we are in the process right now. And here's what we've got on paper right now. So that would be perfectly fine.
As long as they're comfortable with it.
Well, as soon as we let them know they're ready, they're pretty prepared with that kind of stuff. So
Will they have some layout?
some visuals.
Some visuals.
Yeah, we've got a few. We
Okay.
can show. Yep.
Okay,
We
thank goodness.
can definitely give an update there. Okay. Any other questions on the building projects?
Is there anything different with the childcare, with the early learning center?
As far as
Any building plans or construction, or is that
no,
pretty much status quo
we
right
are.
now?
Yep, we are done.
Well,
They've got
there's
a couple of punch
outside.
list items that they've got to fix, which they have been, knocking out as we go through. There's one pile of something that a contractor has to come back and pick up right next to the dumpsters right now. But the big dumpster's out already, and so
Siding looks great.
it really did. It turned out awesome. So.
I know you were wanting to do some landscaping and some grass.
Yep.
I just didn't know where it was.
Yeah, so that'll be more of a, we're going to be using our classes here to do as much as
Oh,
possible.
great.
So
Very
as far as
nice.
in that design for some of that landscaping and in, constructing, those different pieces. So it's going to be a district, it's going to be student led with a lot of that design. It's going to be kind of a cool, I don't know what to call it, maybe sandbox for trying some of these things that they can do for others then too. So yeah.
Awesome.
Strategic planning update. So we have a group of 17 individuals. So we've got 3 board members, we've got staff members, we've got support staff members, we've got parents, we've got community leaders, all getting together for a total of 5 meetings over the summer. We are done with 2 of them, and I think they've gone incredibly well. So essentially, we're starting with what do high-functioning organizations look like, and then coming back and defining, what we want to look like in 5 years, and then drilling down further into what are some goals that we can have that are measurable. And then essentially that 5th meeting will be the group is going to be preparing a board presentation for either the August or September meeting, depending on where we fall. Dana, Matt, Angie, what's your feedback on the process so far? And again, we're working with Dennis Pauley out of Edgerton.
It's been pretty good. I mean, we've gotten the work done during the meetings pretty quickly and progressing quite nicely with moving towards the goal of that strategic plan and nice visual ideas. And I look forward to seeing the end product.
Mm-hmm.
I missed the first meeting, but attended the second meeting, and it just, I think for me, it was just a really nice extension of the community meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And just, it's nice to have a plan that actually follows the plan, and we're taking the community's advice and what they want to see. And it's been good to come into the process and say, okay, now let's hone it in and get something functional for the admin team to actually design and put something together. So,
Thank you.
Awesome. So we have 3 more meetings coming up, and we look forward to continuing the work, which it's been great to this point.
Administrator reports. So Pat, you want to kick us off with the end of the year AGR?
Sure. I think in my haste of trying to get teachers hired, I gave Beth maybe the wrong link to the AGR presentation, but we'll get that figured out. So if you've been here, you've probably heard this, so I won't go into too much detail, but if you haven't heard this AGR report, I don't want to go too fast either. But the achievement gap reduction, we need to use one of 3 strategies, which is one-to-one tutoring, instructional coaching for teachers, or maintaining 18-to-1 class sizes, or a combination of any of those. And we choose let's do all of those, because there's different situations where we do. Usually the tutoring is more interventions, which are small groups, but there are probably in every grade level situations where there's one-to-one. And then I need to report out on it. That's some of the requirements. I need to report to you with each semester, how we're doing with goals and objectives. And when we get into the goals and objectives, I won't go through each one, but our main goal since I've been here, this is year 3 that I've been here, is to take the number of students, the percentage of students in the fall that are in the lowest 25th percentile and cut that number in half. And then when we really look at that this year, I think we're starting to really focus on the right things. I think going into next year, it gets me excited that we know just by, and we break that down in our systems into tiers of tier 1 is our universal instruction, which is what every student receives. We know we can improve that because when we get to our fall screener and we go from anywhere from 16% of our students to 38% are in that lowest 25th percentile, depending on the grade and the subject of reading or math. We know we can improve our universal instruction. So we're looking at strategies to improve that. And a bigger area too is we kind of skip from, we have our screener, we know we have this number of students that need support, and we jump right to an intense tier 3 intervention, which helps some students, but we're kind of skipping the tier 2 of what maybe they just need what skills are they lacking? How can we achieve that? How can we support teachers to achieve that? So we're looking to improve, big picture, we're looking to improve our systems and processes for all students. If you look at this data, some groups start, like kindergarten starts 21% in the fall, we get to 15% in the spring. So I think every grade level, depending if it's reading or math, is headed in the right direction, but we want to do even better. We don't want to have 15 to 25% of our students ending the year still in that lowest 25th percentile, possibly needing a tier 3 intervention. We'd love that number to get down to 0 to 5%, ideally. So that's my biggest takeaway, and I think Krista and I worked hard on that. Our student services team has worked hard. We've worked with our interventionists and our Title I team to really look at our systems and how we can improve those for all students. We've got some training coming up this summer for in Gillingham for some phonics training that I think we're really excited. It's a big investment, but I think will pay very big dividends in that universal instruction. Again, you don't always see those right away, but I think that'll be huge. We're looking at our systems of how, instead of pulling students out always right away, focusing on that tier 2 of what skills do they need. Can that be done in the classroom by the classroom teacher? Can we push in and support the teacher and those students? And just looking at improving our system. So we're headed in the right direction. And as our admin team knows, Krista and I get excited about those things. And now it's following through and getting those systems set up. So yeah, again, the data it's headed in the right direction. It's not where we want to be. So, but headed in the right direction is a good start. Again, I know I glossed over that and I had the wrong report in there. So, but I don't know if it's
there now.
It's updated.
It's
It's updated.
It's updated.
So if you have questions tonight or going forward where something doesn't make sense, definitely reach out. But it basically breaks it down, the information into fall reading. We've got our benchmarks in the winter and then the spring. And we're trying to reduce that number from the fall to the spring, cut that in half, which we didn't quite achieve in most areas. But again, if you go from 32% in 3rd grade down to 22%, that's headed in the right direction. That eliminated 7 students from that group. Things like that are definitely successes. So we don't want to just focus on everything like we need to get better, because then the message is we're doing something wrong, which we aren't. Let's just take the things we're doing well, keep doing those, and improve the things that we need to.
And looking at this, I think it's interesting that in the math scores, your winter scores were significantly improved from the fall scores, and yet changed again.
And each time, each time the bar gets raised a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. But I thought that, in looking at that.
It is interesting. I don't know.
That's
My fear
not
is that's kind of-
typical necessarily.
That's what my fear is, that it might be that by the end of the year, we're just kind of test it out, or or the bar is raised and we aren't doing what we need to get to that bar either. Or both of those.
And there's some smaller classes,
Yes.
which changes those percentages. I didn't realize our kindergarten was 34 students. That's very small.
So hopefully that shows we can make some gains with those students and going into first grade, hopefully they're a little more prepared as well.
And again, just as a reminder, that's not 34 total kindergartners. That's 34 kindergartners in the traditional, school at this point. Another 16 there. Yep.
Oh, so they're not part of
They're not part of
this?
This is just the elementary.
They're not part of
They don't
AGR.
get the
Yep.
AGR.
So BAMs are not part of the AGR.
Oh, BAMS isn't part of it. I didn't realize that.
So yeah, so that's,
Okay,
yep. So I'm not saying that's a great number. It's still a low number, but I just want to make sure that we're on that, aware that is not an all-encompassing number.
sure. Thank you. And we always pick up more students as time goes on. Any questions? With that, the end of year activities, Pat again, and Tom.
So yeah, and we got a lot of stuff listed there for the end of the year, so, which is awesome. We do get through the testing window of the state test for third and fourth graders and our district assessments. And then that month of May is busy. Those are all I just copied our calendar of all the events. And we put out a calendar for staff so that we know where everybody is. But it's awesome that we can take advantage of the swimming pool, a local farm and KBR and some of the resources, Eckhart Park, some of the resources that don't, one, you don't need a lot of money to go to, and sometimes not even transportation, which is awesome. But Mike, the things that do cost money, Mike is very supportive. The transportation, Randy's super supportive. I know it's hard that time of year with field trips and sports and everything. But some awesome opportunities right in this area, which is neat. And it's awesome to celebrate those things and learn outside of the classroom. I don't know why we always wait till May to do all those, but it seems to be a pattern. Another very cool thing was on the last day of school, staff organized the sixth-ish, they're not quite sure the number, wiffle ball game that I'd heard a lot about. And this is the first year I've been here that they brought that back, that Mr. Van Cleve was very instrumental in starting, and some awesome nicknames I could share with you later of every they worked hard, and Kristen Barrett took on that tradition and gave all of us as newbies in the last 3 years nicknames, which is awesome, which was super cool to see. I happened to get a phone call that I had to take right during that, but as I was trying to be a good listener, I turned on the camera to watch it in the gym and saw our rookie of the year, brand new teacher, Remy Jankowski, hit a home run and run the bases in a full length skirt. Which is awesome. I forget who the other MVP was, but it was pretty cool. And
Christian,
that's right. Fittingly, it was a 6-6 tie. So that sums up the elementary level in a nutshell. That was pretty cool. And that's why my end of the year staff gathering talked about that. We're headed in the right direction on a lot of our school stuff now, that hopefully we're through the craziness of the first couple of years here and focusing on our systems and processes. But the elementary building had a lot of personal stuff, I would say, or outside of stuff with losing JVC, a team, each one of our teams lost their mom within a year. Just things like that just seem to be one after another, but they really stayed together. And the good thing is, anything good can come of bad situations. People really came together and were connected. So we're onto something here. We're doing some good stuff.
Thank you. Tom, are you speaking for Steve? this
Yep,
evening?
and you can go ahead and read his report. I want to call out a couple of things. The end of the last day for the middle school was a student appreciation day, which is something they have not done before. And Andrea Cuna, Deanna Liam, and Kara Gardner were vital to that planning process. I believe it's the first middle school assembly that we've had since pre-COVID. So it was a learning experience for most of them to be in the gym all at the same time and doing something like that. The high school jumped into that much quicker because you have just some built-in ones with pep rallies and pieces like that. And so that was an incredible day, and there was a lot of excitement. You can read about the updates to the collab and really just how excited this group is to welcome their new class and welcome them to the Viroqua Middle School family, the class of 2031, which again, I can't wrap my head around, but they're really excited about that group coming in, and obviously sad to see their eighth graders go, but definitely was, Steve's first year, I think went very well, and obviously had a learning experience with how to close out the year and doing everything like that. So this is an exciting time of the year.
Thank you.
Yep.
The overnight and out-of-state field trips.
Yep. So self-explanatory. You guys can go ahead and look at those. We stopped doing the individual approvals and essentially have now just a list of where they are. If you have any questions, concerns, please let me know. But other than that, that's all right there. If we have any additions, we would put that on the board agenda and let you know that we had an additional approved field trip. We don't anticipate that though. Those are usually take a lot of planning. So,
and they're not real far.
No.
Ones.
Nope.
They're all pretty close. Co-curriculars, Dan?
Oh, wow. Spring sports summary. Before we jump into fall sports, because believe it or not, fall sports start this Wednesday with football. So here we are. Here we are. We had a terrific spring sports, great way to end the year, success across the board. The beginning of the season looked like our participation on average is up about 5 to 7%, all sports combined. We held those numbers, which was great to see more kids involved. Boys tennis, conference champions, and the doubles team were state qualifiers. Boys baseball, co-conference champions, advanced to the second round of regionals. Boys golf, regional champions, and we had the conference player of the year, Dalton Hoffland, who's a sophomore. Softball, best season they've had in several seasons, advanced to the second round of the regional tournament. It's really exciting. Boys track and field, second place in the conference, third place in regionals. A core group of gentlemen, 4 or 5 guys, set 3 school records, some of those records long-standing, one of them for 42 years. And we had 1 state qualifier who, Preston Broker, ended up 8th in state in pole vault in our division. So that was great. Girls track and field also similarly did very well, 4th in conference, 2nd place at regionals. So across the board, a lot of success. Interestingly, maybe excluding baseball, most of these teams, a lot of young athletes. So a lot of really exciting things to look forward to over the next couple seasons in spring. Preliminary numbers suggest that we're kind of keeping momentum with adding athletes in our fall sports. Volleyball numbers are kind of insane at both middle school and high school level, which is a good problem to have. But we are in the midst of potentially adding more coaching staff to accommodate the large groups of athletes coming out for that sport. Football numbers, particularly in middle school, are looking really good. At the high school, they're definitely improving as well. Cross-country numbers for the women are flat. The guys' numbers are down pretty significantly. We did have a pretty cool senior class of cross-country. Gentlemen just roll out of that program. So that's kind of where we're at right now going into fall sports, I guess.
Thank you.
Dan, you survived your first spring.
I made it through. That's right. It was crazy.
So the weight room, that's open still?
Yes, the weight room is open this summer. We're open. Our weight room participation through the school year was fantastic. First week of summer, it's a little hard to gauge. It was down a little bit, as you might imagine. A lot of kids taking some time off or out of town. But yes, the weight room is open from 6 to noon and then 4 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. We'll adjust and kind of see where we're at come July. And then incidentally, the summer school program, they put together a camp program, and that program has been very well subscribed and very well attended. I think our first week, both days, we had over 50 kids attend 2 sessions combined. So it was a significant improvement in participation there as well.
Are those all high school students?
No,
or-
middle school and high school, and it's about 60% middle school and 40% high school. So it's a pretty good mix.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. That's all good news. Any questions? Thank you. The next items are, Tom, we have summer school, summer project, summer food service meal program, and 22-23 food service update.
So we can go bounce through these. So summer school started last week. They are over in this building for the second consecutive year because of the air handler and flooring projects happening over in the elementary school. The first year, I think there was a lot of anxiety, maybe is even the right term, about having mostly elementary teachers coming and moving to the big bad middle school, high school, and it really has turned out to be a great move. And so I think that there are some that really enjoy getting into a different space and being able to see kids in just a different atmosphere. We have, our numbers are up, thanks in part to Dan and Eric in stepping up and running that sports performance camp. That was going to be a huge loss for our summer school numbers, and they came in at the 11th hour, and they had, I think they were originally anticipating.
We thought maybe
30?
20 to 25,
Yep.
30 would be
Yep.
a big win. We ended up getting 89. So a little dumbfounded.
So yeah, so it's a great problem to have, but it eventually went from, hey, can you two do this? And now we're going to give you a couple of assistants to try to help and manage this incredible number of athletes. And so it's been great. We are also continuing to partner with the public library for the after school, summer school library program. And that's right now, I believe they're up to 45 students. So, and Park and Rec, again, what a great opportunity, and we are very unique with our partnership there, that we have students that can come to summer school and go, and we work with the transportation to try to coordinate with all of their summer rec programming and then get them back here to summer school. And so we have a very unique program, and I'm very, very proud of what we're able to provide for not only our students, but our families during the summer. Any questions on that? Okay. Summer projects. There are only a few. I'm going to try to bounce through these. So elementary air handler project is going on year 3. This has been a drawn out saga. When I got hired, this was part of the initial first day conversation with Mike, was we're redoing the air handlers in the elementary and we're going to do this. And we are working with Hooper and some subcontractors. They're on site. They've been there for a week. They have the old units out. Pat's office is scorching today. So, it got rough by the end of the day. But they have those two air handlers are out and continuing to work their way through the air handlers. Anticipation that final unit will be removed this week yet. And then they go through and essentially they tear it out and they start building it back up. So we have AC in our district office. They also have it in the cafetorium in the elementary gym, and that's it right now throughout the building. So if you go over there and it seems stuffy, it's because it is. The elementary playground, so CNC landscaping, completed excavating would be Saturday. And then the Wisconsin playground is started today on installing the new playground and behind the elementary. If we remember back to why we did that was for safety reasons. So we're going to start to phase out all of the equipment that is on the south side of the building and move it to the east side of that building so that it's tucked behind, away from the road. And so that'll be the, what do we call that surface, Mike? The poured rubber surface on the entire project there. So it's, yeah, it's super nice.
I made on it.
It's nice to run on, yeah. It is.
I'll give it a go.
Wood chips all over there.
Well, we still are gonna have some wood chips, so we're not getting rid of all those right away,
We have
but,
those embedded.
oh, yeah,
Stocking hats.
absolutely,
Wood chips.
absolutely.
Been working on that for
Um,
many years.
Hey, we are taking steps in the right direction.
Yes, we
Uh,
are.
So, cleaning update this summer. It seems like I've said this every year, but this summer's cleaning schedule is absolute chaos. When we talk about one building shut down because you can't get in with the AC, another building having summer school, and now we're starting August 22nd. Their timeline has been condensed, literally said, you can't get in that building and you can't get in the majority of this building. So they've got their timelines. Cody's got his timelines and they're set to them right now and they're sticking to it. But this is a difficult summer for his crew. And so we really appreciate the flexibility that they're showing, but also just the timeliness and making sure that they're on their schedule. Gym floor waxing. So middle school and elementary gym, July 24th, they're shut down for a week and a half to get their wax. The high school gym will be shut down for almost a month because this is when we did this at the elementary last year. Essentially, this is when they do the sanding and they repainting of the high school gym, and that is going to be. I've seen a couple of the mock-ups. It's going to be beautiful. It's gonna really pop. Elementary floor tile final rooms are going to be tiled starting July 3rd, and so it's phase 3 of that project as well. So we'll get those final rooms done this summer. Greenhouse and garage moves. So calls have been made, and they're pouring. A bid to pour not only the greenhouse, but the new foundation for the Tech Ed garage. So if we remember with the Tech Ed, the greenhouse has to be moved because that Tech Ed wing is coming out that way. And so we're moving that just essentially back. And they think the building's in good enough shape that it can be moved. It'll need a different foundation, obviously. And where they want to move it is right where that 2-car garage is sitting that had all that wood storage. And so right now the plan would be to move the garage and relocate that to the north of the new hydroponics greenhouse. So in between that and the kitchen. And that will be used for the kitchen van and kitchen storage for just those items that need to be used just a couple times a year and get that out of their current storage situation. It's a beautiful kitchen, but they are lacking some storage in that kitchen down there. So that's enough for one summer, let alone a short summer. And so Cody and his crew are doing an outstanding job. We're very, very lucky. Any questions on any of these summer projects?
Will the hydroponics be up and running?
Well, that's in my next report, but yeah.
Leading you.
Yeah,
leading you right in
I
there.
will answer you in the next report.
All right.
Okay.
Planted question.
All right. So
Whoa, that
next
was not
is,
even funny.
well, actually,
Did
it's
you hear what he said?
planting.
Planted.
Yep.
It was a
yep,
planted
planted,
question.
but okay. So let's start with the summer food service meal program. This year's summer program is going really well. They're averaging 150 breakfasts a day and 200 lunches a day. In the summer, that's an incredible number. So we're really excited about that. She did make note that middle school, high school, once again, is saying the summer lunch is so much better than the school year lunch. And she says, of course, it's the exact same food, except for because of the time of year, they do have fresh strawberries and melon almost every day because of when that comes available. So, but it's really funny because she doesn't change a darn thing with the way that they prepare that food. Once summer school is finished, they'll continue to service the ELC and have free lunches available to any students and families that would like to participate. So that is, again, that summer lunch program running 0 to 18. So you do not have to be a student. You do not have to be coming to summer school to participate in that lunch program. Any questions about this summer lunch program? Okay, moving to the report, and again, I'm going to give that one. So participation was down this year, and we expected that, if you remember back to the original conversation, because last year meals were free, and this year we had to charge again. So we are starting to see some family account balances falling behind again, which we again anticipate when we're starting to charge. It is not nearly to the level that it was when we did that campaign, probably 2 years ago now at this point. With the opening of the ELC, they have been preparing and delivering those meals over there, and that is averaging 42 meals a day that they're delivering to the ELC. They are working through what's called the Child and Adult Care Food Program that will essentially reimburse us for preparing those meals and be cost neutral. So it will be a really nice piece there. However, it is a lot of work for both Christy and Sharon, as they both have to go through this program and how to administer it and how to do it the right way. She is planning and is counting on a universal free breakfast coming for next year for all students. All students can have breakfast free, and then they would reimburse. We use the reimbursement for the free and reduced to cover the meals of the paid students. So there'll be very little payout of the food service funds because of how that program and that ratio works. Lunch prices, she is recommending to stay the same for next year. And just a reminder again of how where we purchase. So the purchase of the local beef is purchased from the Scholze Family Farm, and they do also local lettuce from Dawn FEMA at Homegrown Valley Fresh Farm. Hydroponics greenhouse is 99% complete. So the students did a great job. The construction class students built the structure. They did an outstanding job. There is a piece that was back ordered for the electrician to hook up officially. Our students are not qualified, nor are our instructors qualified to do this piece. We weren't expecting it, and then essentially to tie in, make that final. So they are planning to finish that final hookup and do some experimenting this summer. And again, hoping that they have lettuce ready for August when we come back. So we're in that last second of that construction there. Mr. Hardy's construction class also built 6 raised garden beds. If you drive back there, they look beautiful. If you remember what our old raised beds look like versus what these look like, it's a million times better. And so that is what they will use. They're using the plant, what they've planted in there. That produce is used for mostly the summer program, but they do freeze some to use during the regular school program.
Just to clarify.
Yes.
Free lunches, that's just pre-K through.
Nope. Nope. So that's not, there's not a free lunches. That's the universal free breakfast.
But that
those are-
doesn't include the early learning center?
That will not include the learning center. Nope, but the early learning center. Theirs will be covered through the CACFP. Rolls right off the tongue. So yes, that's the food service update. Any questions on that?
Has anyone ever considered through the tech ed department building raised beds and selling them?
I'm sure that they've considered those types of things.
Well, I know they did some, remember the bags game, they sold those one year. They sold a few different things.
Yeah, they do a lot of special projects that community members bring forward and saying, hey, I need blank. So they did 2 large chicken coops last year. They did the construction class did a garage last year in town. Those, so they do some more of the special projects than they do the here's what we have, just buy them from us. So
I do think Skills USA would be interested in knowing what.
Absolutely. That's where that
the market is.
Yep.
Is, if that's something people would want, they would probably look at that.
Yep. Yeah, Skills USA is really where that could definitely fall. Yep.
I would buy them. I would buy a couple of them. Hypothetically.
Just hypothetically, if they were available.
If they were
All right,
available.
sounds good. I will make note of that.
And now we have Pat. Welcome.
Thank you. It looks like technology is working, so I think I'm good, right? Good year for us for the post-COVID world of technology. So Basically, it was our first full year kind of figuring out our new shoes. Went really well. So we were checking out laptops continually to students and stuff like that throughout the year. The kids that didn't have devices at home had devices available through us. We checked out probably on average 150 devices throughout the year at any one time. And we got almost all of them back. I think we have 2 that are still out, which is great numbers. The better number is, and I've been here for 20 some years, and I don't know of another district that has so low of an abuse or device neglect or damage record. We have less than 1%, and on average it's 15 to 20%. So Mike and I have talked about insurance. We've talked about charging parents for like checking these devices out. No need. Whatever we would pay is going to be far more than what other districts absorb. We just don't have those costs. So we just get the devices back in good condition. The kids are really, really good with them. So it was a really good year for us as far as checking out devices. We did the same thing with staff. We've got the vast majority of our devices back from staff. We go through them once a year, make sure they're all good, send them back. Although you guys haven't gotten new Chromebooks yet. That's on our to-do list. So we'll get some bigger, nicer ones. Don't take offense. They're really big screens, so it's not like I'm having you guys blind or something.
I am. I'm wearing trifocals, you know, that's
I'm
okay.
used to buying 17-inch laptop screens, 17-inch Chromebook screens, something completely different. So you'll enjoy those. They're on the desk up in the FE office. Go. This is the first time having a full-time Deanna, which was, so we got 2 full-time. Basically, there is Deanna, which is our basically front line of defense. She's our help desk. She's the initial contact for students, staff. If you wander through the building and need something immediately, you stop and talk to Deanna. She did an amazing job with that. And I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little feedback on how that paid off for you long term. Is it freed up enough time for Joe to be able to do the more technical stuff? We have less than a 24-hour turnaround time. He's killing it there, so he's doing an amazing job with that stuff. Which is, again, I know people at Quick Trip, and they have their millions of dollars in IT funds that they can't do a 24-hour IT turnaround. So we're doing it for a week a day. It's not millions. It's okay. We're all happy. So having Deanna being able to take the front stuff also frees up my time, and I have more ability to do work on bigger, more expensive projects that save you money in the long term. The more free time I have, the better the district gets as far as single sign-on, easy access for the kids, more secure firewalls. If my time is spent doing help desk stuff, rebooting the computer, that means I'm not doing the stuff that you pay me to do. So I mean, I can do it, and I'm always busy. And the best part about it is all preventative maintenance at this point. So that 24-hour turnaround time is because we spend so much time cleaning up machines, preventively cleaning them up so they don't actually get infected, they don't get trashed. Anyway, all pays back to you forward as the more you help you give us. And we're happy with the 3 of us that we got right now. We do use the librarians very heavily. Gidget and Haley do an amazing job working with the IT department. We collaborate weekly, figure out what projects need to get handled, what software needs to get integrated, and where our dead spots are. We're constantly reevaluating. So I can't say enough of that. I do know one thing that came up. It'll be a little bit technical for you guys. During the school year, a student would drop, and we would remove them from our systems. Having Deanna in the role she has was able to catch a flaw in that system that if they dropped during the middle of the summer and we didn't notice it, the kid's login still works, so they could still access our system future years on. Every tiny little hole we find like that. There's always a hundred. We're never going to find them all. That's why ransomware happens. That's why hackers get into the systems. You can spend all your time you want trying to protect it, but having someone like Deanna notice something like that, catch that, and we found out a really easy way to fix it. She's going to disable all the accounts in the summer and activate them every fall when the kids enroll. So we're never going to have a dead account like that hanging out there. So just that small little thing she found would have prevented a hack 5 years from now. So she's not the IT security guy. That's my job. But she's actually helping me keep the district more safe. So I can give you guys the rough numbers. If you want to see them, I can just tell them to you. I can give you copies of the PowerPoints. But as far as the budget goes, about $450,000. But it's not the vast majority is operating budget. We have the E-rate. The E-rate funds are still on hold to do the switch project I mentioned last time I was here. It's still on hold, so it's $250,000 of our money goes to $400,000 project. The rest of it's going to be 150 laptops, 150 Chromebooks, 45 laptops. Those are the big expenses. We're going to rotate the teacher laptops out, move them in the. We don't throw devices away. If you didn't know that, if it's still operatable and it's not end of life, we just move them into other departments. So that's what's going to happen with those devices. We don't just, people think we just toss these like it's a perfectly good machine. No, it's if it is end of life, we do get rid of it out of the district. We can't reuse them. And if you don't know what end of life is, basically Google stops giving security updates and posts for it. And I can't have it in the environment, even if it does work, even if it turns on, everything works about it, it can't be here. And districts are getting burned with that now because they weren't removing them. We stayed ahead of it, so we're not paying for it. We stayed on top of it. It's kind of how we're doing. We're rolling. Everything is fine. Wireless is good. Where are we getting? Hopefully we get it approved for E-rate. I don't know when we'll find out. Mike, any ideas?
You see the same emails.
So everyone's waiting. Like, so our vendors waiting because they have bids in to do the project. We know who we selected. We know the hardware we're getting. It's all, and even our consultant that we deal with that does the stuff is still put on their thumbs. So
I seriously worry it's sitting in someone's queue that no longer exists, and it just is sitting.
And the hardest part is, I mean, it's about $400,000 in hardware I'm waiting for, and it's a big deal. So I have to try to clear up enough spots for me to put the equipment into the system and actually do the work. But if it doesn't show up, I can't do it. But the stuff we have now is expired. So the end of life stuff I was just talking about, we're on that cusp. I need to buy this gear. I need it, and we're just waiting. So I'll keep you guys posted. If we all go down, that's why. Normally I have redundancy after redundancy. I've got redundancies that are backups 4 times over again, but I can't redundance a $400,000 network.
So is it possible to get that? Because we're still going to buy it,
You
correct?
have to buy it in the window of time and have it on site in a certain window to get your E-rate. We are eligible for E-rate for 5 years. So this is only the second E-rate year, Mike. So we didn't go for it the first year. So we went for it this year. Because normally the way it's like a game, you have to like, if all the districts go for it simultaneously, you probably won't get yours. So you let people get it out of the way. We go for the funding the second year because it's a substantial chunk of money that we're going to get from the federal government. And so we hope to get this window. And if we don't get this window, we'll get it next window. But if we buy it now and we don't get it next, we won't get the reimbursement. So we really want to do it.
When you said 5 years, I was thinking that might be enough of a buffer, but obviously not.
So my goal was,
He's laughing over there.
what I've done so far is we're operating kind of out on our own. But as equipment dies, I replace the one piece of equipment with something that's sustainable, but it's not as expensive as the stuff I'll be putting in eventually. So I'm just kind of patching the system. It's not the way I like to operate, but for what we're going to end up with in the end, it's worth doing. And then a lot of actually what I want to work on involves the referendum stuff and they're putting new fiber optics in the building. So that's the IT world right now. It's all over the board. So questions?
How about the dead spots in the cell service? And,
I can't help with stuff.
come on.
Yeah, no,
It's a real issue.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And especially if you're bouncing between, if I was just buying cell phones for the district, US Cellular seems to be the I work in the cross most of the time. So I have to have Verizon.
I do too. It doesn't work in here.
Yeah. So the new cell phones, it's kind of off topic. I've got dual SIM side. So it might be a good point in time where you have 2 cell services activated on one cell phone, especially for someone like Tom who needs to have coverage no matter what. We can't have him in a dead spot. So we would activate 2 cell phone service contracts right now. It's a possibility.
Need a sat phone.
Yeah, there's that too. So you got clear line of sight of the sky. They'll never get away from us.
Oh, darn it.
Do you have any idea how far away we are from something like that? Because
They're out. So the Pixel 7 is a dual SIM cell phone. It's just whether we want to make that change or not. So we get a small little bit reimbursement of it. Not anymore. That's all gone. So we just straight up there. Used to be we get a little bit of E-rate funds for our cell phone contracts, but that's gone. It's just a matter of how much we want. And I do the same thing for myself. So if I work remotely, if I have to be on the road, I check a hotspot with me just in case, and a cell phone, because if the network goes down, I'm usually the first response. So I can't, like him, I just can't be away from her contact. So when he travels, he should probably have a hotspot too.
I'll make a note of it.
Right.
And we've asked this question before as far as the budget. Mike always loves this, but I mean, do you need more money for something out there?
That's not the right, rephrase the question.
I'm going to say it just like that.
I have spoken that brainstorm every year. So every year I go in and I talk to the IT directors. I have never met an IT director who's sport as well as I am.
Okay.
The only reason I am able to do what I am able to do here is because of what you guys have given me. I've never told no. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. So, and I try not to ask for too much. I do appreciate and I do respect that. I walk the fine line of what's the return on investment. I'd be the first one to advocate for one-to-one, the extra technology we can get. Any technology, that's my job, just like get as much tech as possible. But I don't always think it's the right fit. Sometimes it's, we've been, I can mention it, the way we balance the carts and the way we have devices. So we have a lot of devices, but we don't have 100%. So when the kids in gym class or in music, but they don't need a device, one-to-one devices usually sit idle, or the ones you send home with kids are the ones that 15% breakage. And we're talking, if we had 15 to 25% like other districts, you're talking tens and $20,000, $50,000 a year in hardware. We don't have those costs because the way we implemented what we have. But again, so the backup systems I have, the freedom of my time, thanks to Deanna and Joe, you guys are willing to support me with my staffing. I got no complaints. Really, it's been amazing. And in return, you guys get a really good network. It seems to stay up all the time, which is really good. And I don't get a lot of time when I talk about like, you hear anything? Like, no. You hear anything? No. So that's what I'm never going to get. I'm not going to get accolades. I'm not going to get applause. But I'm going to no one's going to complain. I'm doing my job.
What about artificial intelligence?
So the chatbot and all that stuff. So if you want the simple explanation, it's for like cheating and stuff like that. It's a whole other argument. If you want to actually know what the AI stuff is, it's not actual AI. We're nowhere even in the realm of AI. So it's a really cool, clever program. And it's all it is. It's the same bots that have been running on the internet for years. It can go in and absorb data and regurgitate it in a certain way. If the machine thinks for itself, that's AI. We don't have that. So right now, for this board meeting that's happening right now, for this to be able to be disseminated on the internet, chatbot's not going to know what we talked about, discussed, figured out, solved. Someone would have to report it, write it down, put it in the Tribune, and then chatbot would dissect it and actually come up with some information about it. That's a program. That's not AI. We don't have the hardware that in existence at the moment that can even run the software to run the AI program. So in my lifetime, maybe, but not right now. So look for quantum computers before you look for AI.
Okay.
That'll be the time it hits first. And once we have quantum computers, then you'll have your AI. But as far as cheating, absolutely. They can
Absolutely.
get the paper, make it look legit. That's fair and valid concerns for you guys. And you should be watching out for the discussions that have to be made. But it's not like, end of the world Skynet stuff.
So is there a way through the technology that you're not giving us, but having us use, that students our teachers are able to see if our students are doing that?
No.
Okay.
So as far as I'm aware at this present moment in time, there is no, it's been my impression that teachers are usually pretty good at knowing how a kid writes. They're just the language they use, the words they use, the vocabulary limits. They're your best detection. There's no program that can tell the chat bot or any of those other AI programs that have written the stuff. You can't tell if it's, professionals can't tell if a computer wrote the music or the painting or the thing. Then even like super skilled professionals can't tell the difference. Our teachers just got no chance. So unless they know the kid really well and that's not, you're using really long words. And I've never heard you say that stuff. So,
well, and the problem with any type of program for that is there's always going to be a counter program that comes out, right? So any type of thing you try to roll out, there's always going to be a workaround. This is
battle of content filters.
Right. Right.
Luckily, you guys have never charged me to block all games. Because I spend all my time blocking games. That's all it is. Every time I block one, they find one. That's the game. It would be literally how many websites can they find with games on them.
Yep.
So every now and then, administration will come up with, can we block this? No, we can't. We can't block Instagram because they'll just find somewhere else to have that discussion. So as long as you don't have me chasing my tail with these, and then they've done a really good job. I've explained to them, no, that's a dead end. It's just going to get another piece of technology to do the same thing. So I can block chatbot. But there's another one. There's a mirror of it. There's a background site that does the same thing. Bring it on their cell phone. So,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. With that, the board report. Vicki, you want to give the Laurel High School update?
Sure. I did not attend the meeting because I had some other work meetings, but I did get the minutes from the group. And, the spring semester, they did spend most of their time focused on the Laurel contract, getting that done, and also planning things like the end of year activities and just getting the governance council back up and running. So now looking ahead to next year, there will be a meeting in August, August 21st. And it looks like they have, lots of field trips planned, which we just looked at in the field trip report. They were also talking about having sort of a September annual meeting with family invited, so. It seemed to me like lots of activities next year, maybe getting back to the way things were a couple of years ago. Would be great.
Thank you. VAM's update, Kim?
Yeah, I wasn't able to stay for the whole meeting, but I was there for most of it. They had their annual meeting. They elected new officers, and they have a couple people leaving and some people continuing. Obviously, this last year, they also spent a lot of time on the contract. They also now have binders for when new people and to keep up to date for current governance council members, so that they have all of the charter agreement and all the other information that is there. They talked about enrollment for next year, and 2 grades have openings, kindergarten and 8th grade, and all the other grades except for 2nd have waiting lists. So that's good, because that just means the program is continuing and is strong and moving forward. So that was really about it, unless Pat has anything to add. The CISA 4 annual meeting, I'll just go on to that. You received a finance overview report that the WASBO individual presented to CISA, and that was really the most informational part. The rest of it was just, the rest of the meeting was electing the new board members, which our county was not up for re-election, and just otherwise things at CISA are going very well. And on a side note, it was interesting. I got to see basically the secretary who has been there. She started at CISA the year I became a director in Viroqua. So she's been there a long time and been running the show. Michelle does an excellent job. So, so it was a good meeting.
Thank you. Did you have something to add?
No.
So Kim did request that the information from the CISA meeting be sent to everyone on the board, and so that all of the minutes and the update and what was discussed, you were all sent that, which was real good information. The next item is WASB and the legislative update. As a board, I believe we need to thank our administrators for the work that was done legislatively to try to assist with increasing the budget for K-12 education. They spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, and we know that they've made a lot of connections with our legislators on a lot of different levels, and we all are very thankful and appreciative of that. And then I also wanted to thank Mike. The budget video that you sent, I thought was very well done. I don't know if you would all consider putting that on our website or not, if parents or community members have any interest.
I'm hoping they, now that the budget's out, that they just take that little portion of that out, because the rest of it was all good information.
It was great
Yeah.
information.
It's just
It was
now
really
that they
well
know
done.
where it's at.
Right, you would have to remove
Yeah.
that one piece, but I thought that they explained the funding of K-12 as well as they could, because it's pretty darn complicated. So I appreciate you sending that to us, and I don't know if you can request that of them.
At the next meeting, I'm planning on.
I would appreciate it, because it was really, really nice. And we also have all the other updates legislatively right now. Board workshop is June 29th at 5:30. And what is the gentleman's name?
Fran Finko. So he was at Alaska for many years. I'm not sure where he was before that, but he's been in the area for a long, long time. And so Fran now works for WASB and will be coming and doing the typical presentation similar to what you've had from John Bales previously from WASDA. So essentially going through the roles and responsibilities of a board, what makes a great board, and going from there. It will be a different technique and different, different lens to look through than what we've had before. So we're really excited to have it.
Looking forward to that. With that, please tell Beth. I assume everyone's contacted Beth if they can or cannot attend. Great. Thank you. With that, motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.